All right, folks. Well, you know you're in for a treat when you hear that tune because it's time for another week of the RecPoker podcast. This is our weekly chats edition. We've also got a weekly forums edition that's all about strategy. I'm Jim Reed, your host for both. I go by Bluffsterini in the home game and at RecPoker Jim on socials. And I have the best freaking job in the world talking poker with my friends every Monday night at 7:30 Eastern live on YouTube, where you can join us for free and win a prize just for showing up. Now, we have a kind of an interesting show tonight. We're going to be I had the good fortune of being invited by Chad Holloway to come join him on the Poker News podcast later this week. So we're going to have an interesting conversation, the two of us, along with a mystery guest. I'm not sure exactly what the subject of the conversation is going to be, but I thought it would be kind of a fun thing to do to share that interview with our own audience. So we're going to do our intro like usual here. We've got a couple things we want to talk about here on the Wrecking Crew. Then you're going to hear that interview and that episode of the Poker News podcast with Chad and I and our mystery guest. And then we'll be back to give away some fantastic prizes and roll on out of here at the end of the show. So first of all, I want to say that we're brought to you by the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, Casino, and Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino. That's the one. They're the official sponsor of the RecPoker podcast. You can find out more about them at runaces.com. Most of what we do here is free. We're a largely volunteer-based organization, so we depend on support of our sponsors and from our premium members who take part in our training material and study opportunities for only $22 a month. You can sign up for a free account at RecPoker today. All it takes is an email address and a smile, and you know we love supporting food banks. So if you want to check out the perks of our premium membership, just make a donation of any amount to your own local food bank. Send us the receipt, and we'll happily send you your first month of premium for free as a way of saying thanks for helping out your fellow humans. And if you're enjoying the show and want to make a donation to the RecPoker support group here to help what we're doing, we're sharing a portion of we're sharing all our food bank donations in the month of June with Chad Holloway's own food bank called Best Blessed in Wisconsin. And you can find a link to make those donations yourself at livetogive.com, which is the reality show that Chad's going to be on this summer and that we're happy to help him and support. Speaking of support, I just want to thank our newest premium member, Mira Danielle Levante, all the way from Budapest. We got Hungary in the house tonight. And I also want to say happy birthday to new premium member Steve Burling, another far-flung member from a world away coming in from New Zealand. So Steve, happy birthday, and thanks for a really fun conversation the other day. All right, now, let's get into it. You get to know my voice because they let me host the show on Mondays, but I'm only one man, and it takes a crew to make the magic happen around here. We call our leadership panel the Wrecking Crew, and if you want to learn more about me or the rest of the Wrecking Crew, go to rec.poker/crew or listen up because we've got a full house tonight. It's John Somsky, Lorianne Persinger, Joe Coolis, Rob Washam, and as always, invisible producer Rob Gardner. So, gang, what is going on in the world today? Joe Coolis, you mentioned it's got poker in the name, but it's not really poker in the game. But you've been enjoying it. What's up?
Well, I have. I'm a regular watcher of Poker Face, which is the crime show that it's in its second season. Started out, I think they tried to pull poker into it, and then that's really just gone by the wayside. And it's more, as was said, it's a Columbo show. But what I found really interesting, and I think it's like the fourth episode in season 2. There is a long discussion between the protagonist, who supposedly is a poker player, and her new beau about a particular movie and whether it's related to being a Christmas movie or not a Christmas movie. And it was very interesting, the conclusion that they came from. So if you have an opportunity, it's worth a half hour of your time to at least watch that episode. And I do recommend the rest of the show as well.
Yeah, it's a pretty fun show. I've been a big Natasha Lyonne fan for a long time. She only makes fun. She only takes on fun projects. So, and Columbo is exactly the way to think about that. I think she's like actually doing a Columbo impression for a lot of that.
So Benny asked a Columbo show, and I realized how old I am because I often use this reference with my students, and they look at me like, "Who?" So, which makes me sad, but Columbo, for those that aren't introduced, is a detective who is known for wearing a trench coat, like a rainbow trench coat, He's not a pervert. He
I was going to say, you got to get that out there.
Yeah.
If you introduce it like that.
He's known for he's actually a lollipop, I believe, in part when he's doing his thing. Although sometimes I get that mixed up with the other guy.
Telly Savalas.
Yeah,
Kojak.
Kojak, thank you.
Yeah.
He had a Tootsie Roll pop all the time.
Yeah.
And there's always one more thing. Just one more
That's
thing.
right.
Yeah.
That's the Columbo. Yeah. Oh, just
Right.
one more thing.
Yeah. And the reason I use it is it's in certain situations just playing the fool, right? I don't know. I'm confused. I'm you got to end. What always happens is that the villain then confesses themselves. So, but we'll watch both Columbo and Poker Face, and that's Joe's new and old TV recommendations for the week.
And one of the key things about it is, unlike other murder mystery shows, you get to see the mystery or the murder right up front.
Right.
And all the show is about how the person Natasha Lyonne or Columbo figures it out. Also, for people who don't know who Columbo is, it was Peter Falk, and it was the father who read the story in The Princess Bride.
There you go.
There you go.
And if you have not watched The Princess Bride, turn off this episode, go watch it right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you make return.
And then when you do that, send John Somsky $1,000 for getting you one of the best movies ever to watch over and over and over again.
That's right. Yes. You must watch The Princess Bride. There's no doubt about it. And yeah, get in on some of those early Columbo episodes. All right, save us, folks. Let's talk about the WSOP or something. So I know I am on tenterhooks, man. I'm flying down there in 2 days. I'm playing the freaking WSOP main event. I'm playing in a couple other bracelet events. There's a bunch of fun dailies going on down there. I'm going to jump into some cash games. I'm going to be having breakfast with people. I'm like, I am on cloud nine. My luggage is, I was going to say it's packed, but it's not packed because I'm a procrastinator. But I have several piles of things around my house that I know are going to go into the luggage over the next little while.
50% of them are peanut butter jars.
Yeah.
I am bringing peanut butter this time. Actually, Kim convinced me that I'm going to get all the like hydrogenated oil stuff at the CVS. So she convinced me to go get like an actual jar of peanut butter, which I did actually, this is becoming a thing now. I brought my own peanut butter to the Irish Poker Open too, because you cannot get peanut butter across the pond. Just like they don't know what they're doing over there. So yeah, we're learning a lot about me. But it has been like
let's play the Super Seniors event.
No, not yet.
And not only that, they've already played it.
I think I'm bringing the Super Senior energy though when it comes to the two peanut butter jam sandwiches and the banana in my bag. I feel like that's bringing the Super Senior energy. It's been like RecPoker WSOP though. I don't know if people are paying attention, but so Taylor Moss, who of course was the inaugural Wrecking Crew champion. So I don't know, people don't know this, but part of our profit sharing program here at RecPoker with our Wrecking Crew members, because they contribute a lot of their time and effort to making our premium membership as great as it is. We take a portion of all our premium membership money and put it in a staking pool every year. And then every year, a Wrecking Crew member gets drawn out of a hat and they go and play a big tournament with that money on behalf of everybody. And like we all kind of share in the winnings, or we all commiserate if they bust. So the first year we put that into effect was last year. So Taylor Moss, who is like the inaugural freaking everything at RecPoker, he wins the first of everything. He's like, it's like part of his villain role. But we did a randomized drawing and he was drawn as the champion for this year. So he went off and played in the monster stack and cashed. So for the very first year of the new profit sharing program, our Wrecking Crew champion, Taylor Moss, gets to share some of that wealth with a bunch of our Wrecking Crew members. So I thought that was super cool and a nice way that we all kind of profit together, just like in a lot of the other team elements of RecPoker. Like we're all kind of in this together. When one wins, we all win. So I love that. It's just too bad it had to be Taylor though, like just another feather in his cap, right? But of course, Jim Gibson, another fantastic premium member here, he's on a crazy cashing streak down there. I think at the time of this recording, He's cashed in 5 out of the 6 tournaments that he's played down there, which is phenomenal, completely unheard of. Mika Richards just took 42nd in the Gladiator, is one of those big, crazy big ones like that for like 12K. We're actually having her back on the show at the end of July with Christina Gollins to talk about their mentorship program. And of course, Craig Savage, WSOP bracelet winner, Craig Savage, Wrecking Crew member and coach here at RecPoker. Sorry, Taylor Moss, you're not the inaugural bracelet winner. That one goes to our man, Savage by name, Savage by nature. Oh, Rob, you're muted, but it sounds like you're saying something very insightful. And
sorry,
intimate.
I was feeling my inner Somsky. I gotta say that was a really sharp off-season free agent signing. That you got.
Yeah, we sniped him. We got him.
It was really good front office move on your behalf. So maybe the Steelers need to call you up. And get
they've
some
been
advice.
making moves.
He's sharing the money too, right?
Would you believe none of us got a piece of him? Because
right.
I'll tell the story next week. He's not allowed to sell actions. So
amazing.
None of us had a piece. So we'll tell that story next week. If you guys are listening, make sure you tune in next week for the podcast.
Yeah, tune in next week on July 7th. We're going to have Craig to come on and talk about it, but we're also having his longtime coach, Carlos Welch, on the show. So we'll be able to get into some good strategy stuff and take a trip down memory lane for Craig and get into some of the hands for the action that he was in for that. And yeah, I mean, just an amazing run by a lot of our members. And I mean, we're just scratching the surface, of course. You know, like the series has been on for a month already. We've got RecPoker members down there killing it on every front. But just at the moment, it's just crazy to see all this amazing stuff. And I'm just hoping that the Run Good has a little more run in it. I'm getting down there on Wednesday, so I'm going to start firing immediately. And now my expectations have been driven to like astronomical, completely unrealistic heights.
Nothing bad can happen from that.
Wait, is the one drop next week?
Right? Now you're talking. I love that. Yes, sir. Anyway, so what
outside of WSOP? You said you're playing any other dailies? Are you going to come down to band camp?
I might come down to band camp. That's right, exactly. I love our new nickname for South Point. That's it. That's how it feels.
I think it's officially called the Jewel of the South. I think someone gave it that nickname. I can't remember. I think that was
like
Only
that.
Friends. They referred to.
Oh, yeah.
Jewel of the South. Yeah, the Only Friends
that's
podcast.
great.
I didn't come
That's
up with
great.
that. Yes.
Oh man,
Come
no, I'm
join me at
playing.
band camp.
Get in there. Oh, I love South Point. I've had a lot of good memories down there for sure. Since you ask, I'm getting down there on July 2nd, but like super late at night. So I'm going to jump into day 1B of the summer celebration the next day. And depending on how that goes, there's also a just no limit hold'em, a $1,000 tournament on the 4th. And then depending on how those go, that will determine what day of the main event I buy into, either 1C, 1D, or if I decide to go in on day 2 this year. So I don't really know. We'll see. But yeah, I'm pretty freaking excited for it. And I'm pretty freaking excited to be joining Chad Holloway on the Poker News podcast while I'm down there. So we got a bunch of fun stuff going on. So a couple things we wanted to talk about here before we jump into the interview. So if you're watching this live, we're going to have this conversation, then we're going to cut to the outro, but our listeners at home will get to hear this wonderful podcast interview or episode with Chad and I and the mystery guest. There's been some weird stuff happening down at the WSOP. I mean, there always is. There's the dealers are slow. You know, they've got problems with staffing. They have some technical glitches. You know, the air conditioning doesn't work. There's lineups. Like, there's always something going wrong. But this WPT $1 million prize, this gold pass, like collusion machine that they've introduced into the mix down here. So for folks who don't know, the World Poker Tour is not affiliated with the World Series of Poker, and they're very strong competitors, and they're two of the sort of like the top two tours and brands in the poker world. And the World Poker Tour has offered a $1 million extra prize if you're one of their few people that have this special golden pass, which we won't get into how you get that, but and win a bracelet. So there's this incentive for people that have this golden pass to go and win a bracelet because they get $1 million if they do. And if someone else wins the bracelet, they don't get $1 million. And we saw this come to the fore a few weeks ago, actually, on this show, when a number of Minnesota players were going deep in an event. And when it was three-handed, one of them had this gold pass. And Chris Jones said on the show, like, this is an interesting element because there's a real incentive for collusion here. Because if players can jip dump or arrange for the player with the pass to win, then they get $1 million that they wouldn't get otherwise, that they might be able to split. And on the show, we were like, oh, what an interesting, philosophical point. Let's move on. But it really came into effect this time where, again, there were 3 players left. One of them had the gold pass. And the question is, was there collusion? Did people play in a way that was truly, within the game of poker, or were people making decisions with their chips that were not in their own best interest in order to facilitate this? I don't know. What do people think on the panel? Rob Gardner, why don't you go first? Because you said you had a knee-jerk reaction to this, and then you had a chance to sort of
He
like
just throws me in.
No, I want to know, like, how is your position evolved on this?
Well, so initially my thought was, the whole WSOP bracelet thing has just been getting watered down more and more throughout the years. Now you can go to Pennsylvania in January and compete against 87 people online for a World Series of Poker bracelet at the expensive cost of $250. So
we still love you, Craig. Really, an accomplishment. Really.
I knew going first was going to be a problem. Like,
leave it to Joe.
One of those. It was one of those things where, like, it just, feel like, well, this, they were talking about the credibility of the bracelet and the authenticity of the bracelet and the sacred nature of the bracelets being tainted. It's like, come on, guys, it's been tainted forever. It's turned into a money grab. And obviously, like, it was pretty obvious to me based on the evidence that was pointing out that there was definitely, beyond a shadow of doubt in my mind, shady stuff going on. And I was just like, this whole thing is a mess. And then, I saw Berkey and Patrick and a few people I respect tweeting about how, like, the money's out there. This is a private deal between 2 people. It doesn't impact anybody else but those 2 people. So it shouldn't be an issue. And, I think there's some merit to that. I wish the WPT and WSOP could play nice. I wasn't a big fan of the WSOP stepping on their toes with the December series lining up against them, and then there was the comments made when Jack was up accepting what is the award show, the GPIs, 14 months ago, where he took a blatant jab at them. And don't get me wrong, competition breeds growth in our industry and helps us, but there's enough people in poker for everybody to win. Like, I think it kind of is a little bit of a black eye, I guess, on poker, just in how things look. But in my mind, at the end of the day, like, this is easily solved. Just start allowing chops at the WSOP. People have been begging for chops for years. Just let people chop and make it transparent and put it out there. And then this is all moot. Instead of having to, have these massive arguments on social media and online and from all the experts, because everything is secretive and under the veil. So that's where I'm at.
What do you think, rest of the panel? Lori-Ann, do you have any thoughts?
I'm kind of in the same boat, so to speak, as Rob, where originally I was just like, oh my God, that's obvious collusion, especially that pocket aces hand. And I just thought, then once I gave it a little more thought, like Rob said, I decided, I need to get off my high horse on this one, because I thought, if I'm in their position, would I do anything differently? And I can't honestly say that I would. I mean, we're talking $1 million here between two people. The only issue I have, which again, with Rob, I agree, WSOP should facilitate chops. And I don't like the fact that they're deciding that, I don't even know if they've paid them their money yet. I feel that it's more of an issue with WPT than WSOP. And I think since they've already come out and said that they don't have an issue with it, then in my opinion, there shouldn't be an issue, because for that reason, I think it was personally that WPT was the one that was more affected than WSOP, because bottom line is nothing really changed for those two guys. They were getting $1 million, or what was it, 1.2 million, I think was the payout for second place anyway. So the only thing, in my opinion, that changed was that extra gold pass, that extra bonus, $1 million. And WPT seems to be okay with it, or they've already put out a state. I think he's already been paid, in fact. So they obviously have no issue with it. And basically, too, I think this was kind of publicity. They couldn't have bought or paid for it, I should say. So it was almost like, which Rob says too, with this back and forth, instead of playing nice, I think it was a kind of an under the cuff way of kind of sticking it to the WSOP. I think they definitely
100%.
came out ahead. Yes, but still a question: have they been paid their money yet by WSOP, or is that still up in the air?
Last I heard, the first and second place had not been confirmed. I don't know if they have confirmed it or not since then, when I was online earlier. But I've been off Twitter for a while, so I was just kind of bombarded with stuff.
So still technically no bracelet winner in that event? I'm like,
That's
you,
my
I have
understanding.
no idea. Wow.
John
So,
and
not a fan
Rob
of that.
Washam, yeah, do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Well, I've read some things about the Nevada Gaming Commission and some of the rules that they have that may have been violated. And if that's the case, then it might go beyond WPT and WSOP. If somebody, comes forward and tries to regulate it or make a judgment against them because of the potential collusion that happened, which is, according to the Nevada Gaming Commission, is not legal. So
I have a question regarding that. Doesn't the NGC really tend to get involved if it's players cheating the casino per se? And how does this play into that? Because they're not really, at least in my opinion, cheating the casinos when it's money that the players paid into. None of this money came from the casinos. And let's be honest, the WSOP and Caesars, they've already gotten their rake from this.
Oh yeah, right.
So
I don't believe they should. I was just reading some people talking about what are some of the laws or the rules of regulations that the Gaming Commission has that have been potentially violated here. Now, again, I don't know that they're actually going to do anything about it, but there is some clauses in the regulations from the Nevada Gaming Commission that says that players could be, there could be an issue if there is collusion in a tournament. So, like I said, I don't know that anybody would care. I mean, why would Caesars care? Why would WPT care? Why would anybody care? Because it's between those two players.
And again, isn't it collusion against, who is it a collusion? Like I said, it's collusion, but who like I said, this is one of these both sides kind of things. Again, with the casino has already gotten their money. So who's really...
That seems to be a point I'm seeing in the YouTube chat here from Phil as well, who says, with only two left, it's their money. John Somsky, what's your take?
Yeah, that's kind of the point I was going to go after. I mean, if anything had been done while there were more than two people in there, then I think a clear argument could be made that it's cheating. I personally, I find it still a little distasteful, but that's just from a game purist point of view. I mean, if you really look at it, the whole point of the game is trying to maximize your EV. And this just is trying to maximize their EV for something that's happening off the felt rather than on the felt directly. I don't think personally I would have done it, but then again, I've never been in the position to have a potential of getting an extra $1 million thrown at me. So, you know, and I do wish it could be more upfront. So if they could have done some something that would be like the deal making that was suggested, from what I had heard on one of the podcasts, I think it was the Suited Kings podcast. I'll give them a shout out for that. They were talking that they figured out whether or not a bet was a bluff or real or a bet for value based upon whether it was an odd or an even sized bet. And then they started upping the bet amounts because there was like a 12-1 chip lead disparity, and they needed to catch that up sooner rather than later. But yeah, I kind of come down on let's have deal making so that when we're playing on the table, there shouldn't be anything that makes you want to not play for the win, in my opinion.
Rob, you've got a quick question then Joe.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder what it would be like to win a bracelet where you've won a deal. You know, we'd all dream of winning a bracelet someday. Like to actually win a bracelet, but know you only won it because of an asterisk. And so I wonder what that's like. So Jim, like as somebody who has an asterisk win, what do you think is going through his mind as a champion? Like what is it like?
I'll tell you,
an asterisk.
It burns. I'll be honest with you, like winning through cheating or winning through soft playing or like winning in a way where you haven't earned it completely, it does kind of taint the pride or the pleasure that you get to take in that victory. Like when I have a great victory, I don't want to feel complicated about it. I want to feel wholeheartedly great about it. And like I love the jokes that we make about the asterisk on the pin. But I kept the pin. I mean, I did keep the pin. Like I earned that motherfucker. Excuse me. But it is complicated. It is complicated. As much fun as we have, I don't know. I would rather not.
Somsky, can you confirm this? Can you give us legitimate?
Yeah, he did keep the pin. To be fair, it was my fault. I ran it on the wrong night. Now that has happened twice over the course of history.
Like 5 years.
Yeah, I think PokerStars actually had a problem, and they weren't allowing people to register once. So that was another one that we had to cancel. And what I said was, well, if anyone wins it, it'll count. It'll be an asterisk silver pin, but I'm going to win it so that we don't have to count it and just throw it away. And that's what happened. So I can say in my particular case, I did not keep the asterisk. I believe there were only like 5 people in it due to a PokerStars issue. So it would have been really sleazy to keep it. But anyway.
Joe Coolest, we haven't heard from you yet.
No, well, Rob, if you wanted to finish your
I was just looking at Evil Roy's comment in chat. Is fascinating. I didn't realize this. He said that third place blew a really big lead as well.
Yeah,
I haven't seen any of the hands from that, but that's intriguing.
Yeah, and Dave says in there like no one's talking about it. I think it was certainly like less. The third player, he basically like I think overplayed one big hand, and made it was nice EM punt, but I don't get the sense that people are as sure that he was like in on it as some of the other ones. Sorry, Joe, you've been itching to get in.
No, look, honestly, when these stories started coming out, my first response was, I don't care. I don't know these people. Please get it out of my feed. I don't want to see it. It's as Rob pointed out, it's like, it's an event I didn't know anything about. I was like, okay, so is it the main? No, it's not the main. Well, then it's just some small event that is less important to me. And I didn't know the players, right? The only thing I know about it when I saw it was like, oh, the third place guy wore a Packers jersey, so he couldn't have been lying. He must have been telling the truth because they're just honest to a fault. But so I just
like, what?
So I don't understand. I didn't understand what all the furor was about. But then I listened to a couple of pods. I'm like, okay, they're kind of cheating, but they're not really cheating. And again, does this rise to the level of caring? And the only thing that really struck me about it is, imagine that in the Super Bowl, you had the two teams go into at halftime after most of it was played and decide, you know what? There's money on the line here for both of us. And we can give, and there's an extra bonus for this team if they win. So we'll give them that bonus money. We'll split it up. And then you come out and you play that game without telling anybody what you're doing. And people are watching this, right? And honestly, people are probably betting on who's going to win, right? And if I'm betting on the Falcons and, the Dolphins end up winning because they had a chop in it, well, I'm going to be pretty ticked off about it. And furthermore, I don't want to, why should I watch any of the WSOP final tables anymore? I mean, they're probably all colluding. So the winner is already determined because they've already figured it out. And I'm a fool because I'm watching these two people dump chips to one another, trying to figure out good play from it and be excited when somebody wins. It doesn't matter. So if we ever want this sport, if you want to call it to be a sport, you have to have the integrity that the things that you put forth as the top of what it is to play tournament poker is on the level. Otherwise, it's a reality show, and it's a reality show that's scripted. And if it's a reality that's scripted, you'll eventually lose a chunk of your audience.
Well, and I think it's a good point I want to take up there, Joe, because there's like all sorts of betting that goes on about the series on who's going to win how many bracelets. There's the fantasy league where points are awarded by what finish. It's a really bad look for the WSOP to have people not playing straight at the end of a tournament. Like, no matter what, the WSOP comes up stinking in this. And so kudos World Poker Tour for sticking a dagger into the ribs of your biggest rival through this incentive package. And as Lorianne says, the publicity is great for WPT. Joe, you had something there.
Well, I just wanted, and Kim pointed out, it's true. Deals are made all the time in poker. And again, that's the part of me that does not care. It's like, go make your deals. I don't care. Go make the money. You're never going to give me a gold ticket. Although maybe they will, because I'll never win. But it's like, it shouldn't matter to any of us if any of this goes on, except for this entire, all we talk about over and over and over is how can we bring new people into the game? Well, don't make it seem like it's a bunch of lowlifes who are colluding and all of it's just made up, that they can't really win. I'll give you an example. I mean, the very first poker tournament that I made a final table was at the Caesars down in it's a Hollywood down in Indiana. And I go there and I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I luck box my way into the final table. I'm like, okay, maybe I got a chance. And the psychologist in me realized that every single one of them was looking at me as the fish and saying, we're going to make sure that he's out, because they wanted to cash and they wanted to chop. Okay, that's a deal, right? I just wasn't part of the deal. And you may say this is different because there's only two players. But if everybody believes that that is what's going on with the people that make the most money in the field, then nobody will actually think that they can really win. And once you do that, then why would you want to spend your money on a tournament? Mm-hmm. It's that moment, it's that glory moment to say, well, maybe I've got a chance. That's why lotteries win, because people believe they are on the up and up. They may not be, right? And there was one year when I think it was an Australian company, decided they were going to buy something like 40% of the tickets because they thought, and they ended up winning, and people were just infuriated because it took away the feeling that you could win. And I think that is what is the biggest problem about this, is that it takes away some of the luster that people think they can win this thing.
Yep. And I will point out, I appreciate the point of if there's two of them left, they can make whatever deal they want. Deals are made in poker all the time. That's all true. But this bonus, it incentivizes collusion before it even gets heads up. If you're at a final table and one of the players at the final table has a gold pass, everyone at the final table is kind of incentivized to get heads up with that player, or to get three-handed with that player, because they're like, oh, well, this player is going to have a natural incentive to make a deal with me. If I get heads up with this player, they're going to make a deal with me and I'm going to get a piece of that money. So I am now incentivized to end up heads up with this player, which means taking other players out and not taking this player out. So there's a natural incentive towards soft play just by virtue of having this bonus in the tournament. And I think that that infects the sanctity of the game. And that does involve, like, that does put a taint on the strict following of the rules of the game and the proper incentives of the game.
The only thing is, I mean, it's also built into poker DNA. In 1972, Amarillo Slim won the WSOP. And he didn't win it because he was winning. It was because he was the only one who was willing to admit to the IRS that he won the tournament. And he thought it would be good for him to go on shows like Johnny Carson, which he then did do. And he got quite a famous following after that. There have also been tons of bracelet bets. You know, Tom Dwan made a bet that he was going to win some year and almost bankrupt the entire poker community if he had won a particular event. So, I mean, we're in the gambling industry, so it does make it a little bit harder. I mean, I agree with what you were saying in that I like the game to be a little bit more pure, but part of it is a gambling game, and part of the fun of it is the side bets and, you know, prop bets, or, you know, sitting at a poker game and saying, I'll bet you the next flop is rainbow, or I'll bet you it's all black cards. You know, just stupid little bets that in those cases don't affect the game, or not directly. But it's a really tough line to divide things, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So we've got some good comments from the YouTube chat. MSPT trophy winner Phil Razor is in there saying, you can make a deal in the EPT, but you have to leave at least 10% for the winner, which is the best of both worlds. So yeah, I do like that. Then there's still that incentive to continue playing. Evil Roy says the chip dumping was not okay. They can do it if they want, but they can't do it and get me to say they didn't do something wrong. Like, yeah, I'm sympathetic to that point, Evil Roy, where it's like, it's within the rules to do it the way that they did it. But it doesn't smell right. Doesn't pass the smell test for me. We've got a question from Benny the Jet. Says this may be a dumb question. No, it's not a dumb question at all, Benny. But say they agree to a 500K split. They don't facilitate chops at the WSOP, so one guy will have to wire the other guy the 500K. Can you just do that without the bank stepping in and asking questions? So I think the banks ask all sorts of questions, but they're basically going to be filling out a 1099 form saying that this other person is like, which is pretty common in the staking world. I'm not an American taxpayer, so I should not be the one to give like the details on this, but basically you fill out some forms. You say that this person's the person who actually got this money. They're now responsible for paying taxes on it. And it's all just kind of done above board and papered over. So it's not a problem. In brighter news, one of the very cool things that was happening down at the WSOP was the women's championship was defended successfully. So 2 years in a row, the winner was the very same Sheena Okamoto. I hope I'm saying that correct. Lorianne, you had actually, we all thought this was cool, but I think you polled that she'd gotten second place a few years ago, and then first last year, and then first again this year. Am I getting that right?
That is absolutely correct. Yes, she took second in 2023, won it in 2024, and came back to defend it this year. So, which is an incredible feat, in my opinion. It's not like these were small fields.
Right. Oh, no, there was a lot of people in them. And I know we talk about having women's events as sort of like safe spaces so that people don't have to put up with all the bullshit that men bring to the table. And I think they get as sort of like uninformed people think of them as being softer fields, but we all know there's a ton of killers in those fields. So it's very, very impressive. My favorite part of it was, I don't know if you guys saw her tweet that she put out before she entered the tweets, like entering the 2025 WSOP women's event, not fucking coming in first again, or whatever that. And she did. That's amazing. That's so cool.
It's nice when you can call your own shot like that.
Oh yeah, way to go. All right. Well, is there anything else that we should kind of chat about in today's WSOP land, or in people's Poker Lives, or should we just throw right to what I'm sure will be a really fun episode of the Poker News Podcast? Doesn't look like it. All right.
Oh, and Benny is
yep.
correct. She did tweet it simply. I defend it. Yes. I saw that. Two
Nice.
words. Yes. 2 words.
Fantastic. Yeah, so great. You love to see that. Oh, I think we're going to see some fun stories about that over the next little while. All right. Well, without further ado, I hope you enjoyed this fantastic episode of the Poker News Podcast with Chad Holloway.
Oh, I did have a serious question before you cut away. You know, I
Uh-oh.
always have the serious questions. I can't even say it with a straight face. All right, Phil, you're in the chat. What does the S stand for? I see the PSR. You didn't change your. So what's the S stand for, Phil?
Yeah, Phil Razor. We want to know what's the S. What's the S in PSR 73? I think I know what the 73 is. Mm-hmm. It's his IQ.
Ouch!
Philip Scott.
Saintly. Razor. Yeah. Oh, Philip Scott Razor. Okay.
Oh, I'm hearing he was born in 1973. Sorry, that actually makes
super cool. Sense. No, and saintly. Yeah, I'm going with those are not it. No.
Yeah, 73 was way too high for his IQ.
All right. But now, without further ado, the Poker News Podcast with Chad Holloway. All right, folks, we're back through the miracle of modern editing. Boy. What a fantastic show that was. I really enjoyed. Chad Holloway really brought some keen insights and some loaded questions. I thought he really put me in a corner a couple times there, but I think I handled myself with aplomb, which is my favorite way to handle myself. So with aplomb.
Not with a peach.
Did you hold it in your hand or you chew on it? What do you do with the
I just set you guys up, so it's like I'm playing you like a fiddle.
Edit this.
I'm playing you like a fiddle.
I need a raise.
No, we're not editing a second. This is all going in. The last time we had an edited interview was the Maria Ho interview, and God bless Maria. She was such a great sport about that, but that was technically speaking, like from a technical point of view, the worst interview we've ever done. We kept dropping out, mics were muting. We was getting choppy. It was brutal. So we've actually just finished editing that episode, and you might actually hear that episode sometime soon if we ever get it out there. But thanks to Chad Holloway and everyone at Poker News, at the Poker News Podcast for that. I'm sure that was a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it, and at the same time, really enjoyed it. Depending on at what time you're listening to this interview. Guys, I should have queued it up earlier, but start typing the words food bank into the YouTube chat. We're going to give away a fantastic prize tonight. Again, I want to remind our listeners that if you want to help out at RecPoker, you can go to rec.poker/support and find a bunch of ways to help us out without dropping a single penny. And then also some ways that you can help us out with your pennies and nickels and dimes. The best way to do it is to become a premium member, or if $22 a month is a lot, I get it. You can come on in to our Patreon platform and support us there for $10 a month. And $10 a month gets you audio versions of almost all of our training material here in our premium membership, downloaded right to your phone as an audio podcast. And we also have a $3 a month level of support there just to help us out and buy us a coffee and say thanks for what we're doing. So do check that out, Patreon/RecPoker. Or go to rec.poker/support, or just drop your donation right in through the YouTube chat. And like I said, we'll be sharing those with Live to Give, Chad's reality show later this summer. All right, I see some people typing the words food bank in. Rob Washam, you have been... Oh, sorry, we have one question from Benny the Jet. Any non-poker plans, Jim, while I'm in Vegas? Not for this one, Benny. If I'm going down for a long trip, I make some non-poker plans. I try and get off the strip and touch grass or sand or something. I'm only down there for about 8 days for this one, 7 or 8 days. And I'm actually staying in the Paris hotel, which is an elevator away from where all the tournament action is. So I'm going to arrive at the airport. Norman Chad's going to pick me up, apparently. I don't believe it for a second, and drive me to Paris. I'm going to leave once to go to CVS and buy some jam and peanut butter and bananas. And then I might not leave the building. I might not see the sun for the next 8 days because I'm just going to be sleeping coming down the elevator to the tournaments, going back up to bed. So it's gonna be that kind of trip. But there is some fun stuff to do down there if you've got a little more time. Rob Washam, I'm sorry, you were gonna share our ROI winners from the home game club.
Yes, I was. And in the month of May, number one was Kel Brown 73 with a 238% ROI.
And Kelvin became a premium member a few months ago, and all of a sudden, Mr. Kelvin Brown, you have the top ROI in the home game club. Coincidence? I think not. Colombo would have something to say about that. He'd put those breadcrumbs together. He'd connect those dots, I think.
Yeah, and he was actually one of the top 5 from last month, also from April. So
nice.
He's on a tear. And one of my favorites, Killy 19341, came in second at 232. A staunch supporter of the book study. He's there every week that we have one, and he's just been killing it lately. He's been making the top 5 quite a bit.
Love to see it.
And you love to see Graphic 16 up there in third place.
Roger.
99%.
What a guy.
In fourth place, we have Larson's Opening.
Beautiful,
at 76%.
Yeah.
We have a Wrecking Crew member, Walton JB.
Hey!
At 64%.
Nice
and
work,
then
Joe.
the top 5 premium is Cosmo Girl KW at 56%.
Nice. That's Christina, who has actually been getting a little coaching from me and from Rob Gardner through some great giveaways that she won here on the RecPoker podcast. And I think she's actually, I think it's working. There she is.
Love to
well,
see
congratulations.
it.
Congratulations to all our winners. And so who was the number one top ROI performer in the month, Rob?
Kel Brown 73.
All right. So Kelvin, send me an email, jim@rec.poker. The prize that you've won is to come join the panel for a future episode of the show to meet the guest of your dreams and ask them a couple questions. So congratulations and way to go. What else should we get into here, gang? Do we have any other announcements or
we do
prizes
have
to give away?
A giveaway at the end of this episode.
Yes, we've got the food bank.
This week, we will be giving away a free month of Jaka coaching.
Awesome.
Now, Jaka coaching is very popular in the RecPoker community. Jaka is a very easy to understand. He's very, he doesn't put himself above the rest of us. He plays like MSPTs. He plays the stuff that we tend to play. So he's very relatable to most recreational poker players. And you can find his site, Jaka Coaching, and other partners by going to rec.poker/partners.
So please do, folks, go and check it out. It's one of the unique features here at RecPoker. All these amazing training sites around the world share their material with our members because they know that recreational poker players are the lifeblood of the sport, and they want to see us all get better and lose more slowly and even start winning a little. So it's great to see all these partners chipping in, and Faraz and his team there are fantastic and do great work. So so great to see. All right. I was going to say invisible producer Rob Gardner, but you've been visible for a couple of weeks now. It's tripping me up. Do we have? There he goes. He's gone.
He's gone.
Do we have a spinning wheel of fame and fortune to award a fantastic prize? Here we go. And if it comes up,
go ahead.
If it comes up, I'll be making a donation here as well.
I was going to put my name in myself a couple times if we're giving away to Jaka Coaching, but I guess that's collusion. So
yeah, we don't want that. That's right. We don't brook with that. We don't truck with that around here. All right, pretty good odds. This is if you're listening to the podcast, you could always just come and watch for free and win a free month at one of our learning partners. Benny the Jet in back-to-back weeks. Got to do the back-to-back. Benny the Jet, way to go. So send that email, Benny, info@rec.poker. and RecPoker's Santa Claus is gonna see what he's got under the tree for you.
He defended.
He defended.
Yes.
Yeah, nice. He defended. That's fantastic. Well, I don't think we're going to be able to end on a higher note than that. I will point out that the 4th of July is right around the corner. It's the holiday double stack tournament at Running Aces. That's a 10 a.m. start, $200 buy-in, and 24,000 starting chip stack. And then in just a few weeks, it's RecPoker weekend at Running Aces. That's the first weekend of August. There's going to be all sorts of fun going on down there. Meet up with Wrecking Crew members, give away some excellent prizes, and it's just going to be a blast. So make sure you've got that circled. And otherwise, I just want to thank again our fantastic Wrecking Crew panel.
I'd like to thank John Somsky for telling us all about the home game winners from the last
what
week.
A great idea.
Yeah.
What a great idea. That's what we should do.
Okay. Then why don't we get into it? Now then, KP won his 3rd nightly victory of the year. Maddie Buffalo, Kathleen Twomey got her 6th nightly victory for the year. Apple of my eye, Harold Berry got his 3rd nightly victory for the year. Nashman 37201, Jeff Ford won his very first nightly victory. Matter of fact, first RecPoker event ever. Dan DeWesty, Daniel A. got his 5th nightly victory for the year. 7 High 11, John Crowell got his 1st nightly victory for the year. Stewie 13, Stuart Carriage won the daily mixed event for the first time this year. E. Anderson 85, Eric Anderson got his 1st international victory for the year. Now you said it. Joe got his 4th international victory for the year. And B. Jones 999 won the LPP event for their first RecPoker win ever. So you can contact info at rec.poker for your free month at Learn Pro Poker.
Way to go, John. Thanks for keeping up the team here. I appreciate that. Well done. And I want to shout out John Crowell, who I was just emailing with the other day. Nice to see him back in the winner's circle. I know he's been taking a little time off, so looks good on you, John. And to all our home game club participants and winners, and I'm just so glad to have such a vibrant and fantastic home game club full of so many wonderful people all getting better at this game that we all love so much. I guess that's it for us, folks. Let's roll on out of here. Thanks to Chad in advance for having me on the show. Thanks to Joe, Lorianne, John, Rob, and Rob. Thanks to all our premium members. Thanks to the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino. All our YouTube chatters. You guys are a lot of fun, just like always. We'll see you next week on the RecPoker Podcast. Good night.
Bye, everybody.